Good afternoon, students. Very good afternoon, and wish you a very happy new year. Today, we have a very good resource person and Mr. Ajit S. And he's currently working as a technical head at Impavit Technologies. And he's also a CEO at ASCII. And he has 11 years of experience in teaching and is currently pursuing his PhD doctorate degree from Presidency University. He has worked as a freelancer, a technical trainer, and taught various programming languages for engineering students. He has delivered technical talks and he has obtained a professional membership from STA, IAENG, and IRED. He is currently working on different real-time projects on web page development or web designing and app development as well. He has a passionate towards graphical designing and has designed cover jackets over 200 books for Kannada and English literature, as well as the illustrations for story and poetry books. He has designed several logos and concept art for magazines, and he has exhibited his digital paintings and presented a seminar on at various educational institutions, and he has got he has won several gold and silver medals at national level art competitions as well. Okay, I welcome you, Mr. Ajit sir, for the session of the webinar on web scraping with Python. Welcome you, sir, on behalf of our coordinators and Department of CSE.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I think now on it will be taken care by Mr. Ajit sir. Thank you, sir. Please continue. Over to Ajit.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the warm introduction. Good afternoon, everybody, and a happy new year. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. Let me start with, I have two different sessions here. One is, let me start with the theory because this is at afternoon, but I should not start with the theory part. Inevitably, I have to give you few details about today's concept, that is web scraping. And then we'll switch over onto the hands-on. I would like to show you more practical ways to perform a web scraping operation. So, but before that, I like to share my PPT. I'll not take much time for presenting the PPT. Please bear with me for 15 minutes. Yeah, I hope you can see it, right? Can you see it? Is my screen visible? Somebody please tell me, is my screen visible?
Yes, Ajit. It's visible.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes. So before we switch over to the actual concept of today's, that is the web scraping, I would just like to tell you about everybody today are just running behind the data. Everybody is in need of the data. Everybody looks for the data. Either if you just take this pandemic situation way back, just 3 months or 4 months back, everybody used to sit in front of the mobile or in front of the laptop and see what is the status of the persons that who have been infected with the COVID, and how many of them have been disinfected, and how many of them have death. Everybody were just went behind looking into all these details. So it is not only with this COVID aspect, everybody are in need of the data. If you take, if you would like to purchase something in a e-commerce website like an Amazon or a Flipkart, so we would like to know the statistics about a particular model. Say if you are purchasing a mobile phone, or if you are purchasing a camera or a DSLR camera, and you would like to know how it's functioning, and you would like to know what is its reviews, and you would like to know what is the cost, you would like to know how many people have bought it, right? So such kind of informations are required, right? So the large number of data, if you just take an internet, the the data massively which is available in the internet, and everybody wants this data, and we have to extract that data, we have to capture that data, put that in a proper format so that it could help us for performing an analysis. Okay, so how can we do this? Is it really possible where we can extract the data from the the different websites simultaneously and put it together? As we know that we are very familiar with performing a copy paste operation, but this is a very quite similar thing, but a different method and efficient method to do it. And one such method where we can capture the data in a massive that will help us to perform data processing and make your extracted data into a useful operation, a useful information. We are going to make use of this web scraping. So don't get confused with web scraping and scraping. So scraping is totally different. It's just scraping, right? So what exactly web scraping is all about? So as I told you initially, if I would like to get the data from the website, so it gives a web scraping gives you a platform where you can extract your large amount of data from a different resources of a website, and you can save that particular data into your local file system. And definitely you will be able to save your data, whatever the data that you have extracted from your website, you can definitely save that contents into your Excel sheet, or you can also save your contents into your XML format. And no doubt, definitely you can also store your contents in terms of any database format. I mean, we are very familiar with MongoDB, NoSQL, and all those things. Web scraping will help you, allows you to store your contents back into your database so that you will be able to organize it properly. I mean, as I told you, you can convert your extracted data into a useful format. So that will be a more beneficial a part of your web scraping. Okay. So there is a big question that how far it is correct. I mean, everybody know that if your faculty gives you an assignment to get, I just need a brief note about a technology. Say, for example, your faculty has given you to give you an information about an image processing. So what we do is we start directly entering into the internet. We start looking into the various websites, and what we do is we don't even read it. We simply copy and paste it in the Word file, right? So that is a common thing that what we do. But here, when it comes to the web scraping, so we are using the extracted data for the sake of analysis. So how far the web scraping is legal? So that's very, very important. Now the thing is, officially speaking, there are many websites like an Amazon or a Flipkart who has forbidden performing the web scraping because they don't want to take the information from their website and perform some other activity. But still, if the web scraping is healthy enough, and if you are doing a web scraping only for the sake of a constructive, definitely a web scraping can be done. But before you web scrape any website, I mean, if you start extracting the data from any of the website, make sure that you read the terms and conditions of the websites, because some of the websites might not given you a provision that you're not supposed to do it, and some of the websites have given a completely forbidden performing the web scraping activity, and there are websites which will give you a provision where you can perform web scraping. And that particular one, there are so many websites where they definitely need their website to perform a web scraping operation. So there are three different scenarios. So what I suggest is, before you perform a web scraping, read the terms and conditions of that particular website before you start extracting the data from a particular website. So I don't say that it is legal, I don't say that it is illegal, but you have to read the terms and conditions from the website. Okay, then we have so many tools, of course. I mean, we have so many programming language. I mean, we have so many APIs. If I would like to extract a large amount of data, so I want to store the data that is present in a website in terms of a .csv format, the website will not allow you, or there are few websites which will definitely give you to save in terms of .csv, right? So we have some dependency on APIs, your application program interface, where to extract your data from your website. Do we have any other provisions where we can perform this scraping more efficiently without depending upon your APIs? I don't have to depend on any of the application program interface, but still I should perform extracting of data, and that extracting of the data should also help me for converting your data into a useful information. So there are two different things which you have to do it there. So keeping that factor, there are a few programming language which is more beneficial. Everybody knows about the term called as a data scientist, data analysis. So this is what basically work of a data scientist, one of the work, it's not a complete work, one of the work where they can do it. That means they can extract the data, they can analyze the data and put it in a constructive way. So use web scraping only for a constructive way, not for a destructive way. So one such programming language that which we can depend upon is your Python. Okay, so you can do your web scraping with the Python. So before I'll be showing you how you can perform the web scraping with the Python. Before that, we do have certain stages in web scraping. So those are the fundamental steps which we have to perform and which we have to look into to perform a web scraping. Okay. So the first and the foremost thing is your document. You have to upload your document. You have to link your file. Your web file might be an HTML file, right? Because all your contents will be saved. All your contents are being created. Your web page are being created with the help of your HTML or any other programming markup languages. Might be an XML as well. Okay. So you have to load such kind of an HTML. And then the second stage that what we have is a parsing. So we have a lot of parsing packages which is available in the Python as well. So what exactly the parsing is all about? So if you would like to perform an extraction from a document which you have uploaded, which you have loaded to perform a web scraping, it identifies the particular title, it identifies the particular paragraph, it identifies, if you are familiar with your HTML, then definitely you will be knowing the different tags which are associated with your HTML. So to identify the paragraph, to identify the title, to identify a line which is being hyperlinked or which is being anchored, or which has been given as a header, which has been created as a class division. So you have a lot of aspects when it comes to the HTML. So to just identify such kind of an elements or to interpret your documentation, we are going to make use of a parsing. Okay, so we have a different parsing. One is XML parsing, which is available, and HTML.parser is available where you can use that for scraping. I will be using HTML.parser to show you a couple of examples in this session. So once you complete, parsing specially deals with to extract all your HTML elements along with its contents. Then once you do it, it's time to extract it. So you start extracting all the required data which is present in your document and put it in a place. And once you have extracted your data, and your data has to be converted into a useful format, that's what we call it as a transformation. So you load your document which has to be scraped, and you are going to perform an interpretation on your document. It's what we call it as a parsing. And then you start extracting the data which is available in your document, and whatever the data that you have extracted has to be converted into a useful format, and that's what we call it as a transformation. So to do this, we will be making use of a Python. So Python is an efficient programming language, which gives you a platform to make a large number of manipulations on, especially on strings, because Python makes string manipulations very, very easy. So that's a very, very important thing. Apart from that, as I told you, it's very important that there should be one programming platform which can give you a compatibility to deal with your database like NoSQL and MongoDB. So Python will support your database in an efficient way, so that you can put your extracted data back into your database, so that you can handle that. You can make use of the data which is stored in your DB, maybe in a MongoDB or maybe in a NoSQL, whichever the DB that you are using. And Python will be really a useful programming language. Okay. So then to perform this scraping activity, we do have set of packages. So we will be using some of the packages even in our session. So the packages that what your Python supports to perform web scraping is pattern, scrapy, mechanize, beautiful soup, and request. So these packages will help us to perform this web scraping. And if you just look at this beautiful soap and the request, so these are the two different packages which are more familiar and it has been used in different scenarios. In more used packages for web scraping is your beautiful soup and the request. Okay, so let's do it practically and see how you can do it with the help of a Python. So I'll just be closing the PPT here. I hope you can see the screen. Yeah, fine. I think you can see sharing. Just a minute. Fine. I will be using, ma'am, I just have a small technical issue. I just wanted does WebEx supports a full screen, whatever the screen, I have to make a switch over from one page to another page because this is a practical thing which I have to demonstrate to the students. So do I have a provision where I can switch over simultaneously or I have to stop it each time and present it?
Sir, you have a layout option. I think in that layout you have full screen side by side stack. Just check it.
Okay, just a minute. Share. I can see share file. I don't find an option here called as a layout. Sorry, ma'am, I did not find a layout option here.
Yes, sir, sorry. So the layout is not in the sharing option, but it was outside the when you are
No,
filling
that,
participants.
no, that is, I think,
I think you need to switch over every time.
no, but that might create a confusion for havoc for the students. Fine, whatever it is, right?
Sir, kindly.
Yeah, fine, not an issue, not an issue. Uh, Fine. Okay. So you are just looking into this particular website called as an impavit.in, right? So you can see the several contents available here, and uh, I would like to extract the contents of this particular page. See, I will have a provision where if I take any other websites that might give you a problem for me to perform a scraping operation. So that's why I have taken our company's website so I can show this scraping activity very easily. Okay, so what I do is you can see the lot of elements which are available here. You can see the header part, you can see the content part, and you can see the image part here. You can also see the footer part which is available here, right? I don't want to see when I just right click here. So this is what everybody has to know, that we have something called as an inspect. When I just click on this inspect, or when I just click on this view page source, so you'll be able to look into some of the the code which is associated with your operation. Okay, so now using this, using this particular code, this particular code will have the lot of data. This is the particular data which I would like to extract it. So we are very familiar with this, where I can simply take this and perform a copy and paste operation in wherever that I wanted. But the scenario is, what in case if I have a large amount of website, large amount of content in my website, how should I do it? How should I extract it in an efficient way? So that the thing is, it has to be used for the data analysis as well. Okay, so I'll be taking my website to show you as a reference to perform a web scraping activity, right? So before I start with this web scraping activity, there is something called as a web browser request module, that what we have to do. How do we connect or how do we open our website using your Python? Probably I do not know how far this will be, how far the students will be able to see this, because if I would have this switch over simultaneously, so they could have seen it here. Anyhow, so I'll be using my Python ideally. I'll be using the Python ideally here. Okay, so I've been using 3.8 versions. So it's better that you use the latest version to perform the web scraping activity. Now the thing is, I have to make an automation here. What is the thing is, how do I open a website automatically with the help of a Python? I have a package that I have a module in my Python, and I call it as a web browser here. So I'll be using import web browser. So this is a package which we do have in our Python. So using this web browser, I will be able to open any website which is required for me. So I'll be using web browser. We have an inbuilt function and a method. We have a function called as an open here. So which you will be able to type your URL. You can type your URL here. So I'll be typing it with HTTP. And you have www.impavid.in, and then I'll close it. So when I just click this, actually this will lead to a web browser, and it is going to open impavid.in. I do not know whether you'll be able to see this or not, but that's why I asked you for this switchover. When I press enter key, this will automatically open a web browser and opens your website, that is www.impavid.in. Okay. Is that visible? If the website is visible for you, or what is the thing that you're seeing on the screen? Shivani ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see the website, or you can see only the IDLE? The Python IDLE. What are you able to see on the screen? Because I need the confirmation.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll not be able to.
Right now it is blank, sir. Black. Now I
Okay.
can see the terminal. I can see the terminal.
Okay. That's why I asked you. See, once I click this, actually it is giving you a true option that it is an indication that the particular website is available, and it automatically opens a web browser. So I just wanted to see the students that once I press this, it automatically opens to the web browser, and it just displays the site. So because I have to do that a couple of times, a lot of things are there to do that. A lot of pages I have to open to show them. So by any chance you have a provision where I can switch over? Because actually the Zoom has that provision. So that's why I'm asking you.
Okay, sir. No, I think we have not explored much about this. sharing.
Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. You're talking about sharing the double screen at the same time.
The complete screen. I mean, it's something
Yeah.
like you have a window size. So whatever that I present it, everything will be seen by the students.
Okay. Sir, I don't think so. I'll check it once. So you would just start with the application, sir. Meanwhile, I will just find it out from.
Okay, fine. Okay. So this is a simple code where you can automate your system and directly you can open with your www.impavit. You can save it as .py and you can make it as automated. So whatever that you type it, I mean, if you have created a program that open cited the website, I mean, whatever the specified website, it automatically helps you to open your specified website and tries to open your browser and links your URL and opens your website. So the next thing, I mean, keeping the same parameter here, I would like to show you an example here. Say, for example, what is the one thing that you generally do to perform a location of a place? So we go to Google Maps, then we type the required location, and then we perform the search operation. So that is one thing that what you do. The second activity that what we can do is, I mean, I was just looking at one of the website called as a makemytrip.com, and I would like to know where this location, where a location of this particular place. I was just looking into a place. I wanted to know the actual location of the place in the Google Maps. So what we do, so in the makemytrip.com website, we copy it and then we paste it in the Google Map and then we give a search operation, right? Why am I telling you is this? How can you link, before we perform a web scraping, how can you link your Python program to make more things automated? Okay, so I will be showing you how you can map it automatically where few just instructions. I mean, once I give you a command line argument, with the help of a command line arguments, with your file name, I'll be able to identify the location. I mean, open your Google Maps automatically without going into your Google browser. I mean, the browser has to open automatically and then it shows the locations automatically. So that's what I have to do it with the help of a Python. Okay. So for that, I'll be creating a new file here. So you have an option or you can press Ctrl N to create a new file. Can you see that the new file which is created? Okay. So if you can see, that's good, right? So I'll be using this import web browser. And then since I'm going to make use of a command line argument to make automated, that means whatever that I give an input in the command line argument, that the program has to take it automatically. And then I'll be giving the location of one. I mean, if I would like to know the location of BMS ID, I'll be giving BMS ID as a command line. So I'll be using SYS, which will help you to take a commands from your command line argument. And there is something called as a paperclip. I'll come to this paperclip later. Okay, this is another module which we have. I'll discuss about this paperclip thing. So now what I do is, so I have to check how many number of arguments are there. So to do that, we have a length function. So you have to see that, make sure that at least see here, when I take a command line argument, I hope you have learned your command line argument. See, the first thing that whatever that you have given in the command, I mean, your command itself will be stored in the first array, for first index of your array. And the next one will be stored in the index number 1, and the next argument will be stored in your index number 3, and so on. Okay, so we will be checking that sys.argv and make sure that your argv should be greater than 1. At least you should have one argument here. Okay, so just I hope you know the syntax of your if statement in the Python. So if this is the scenario, what I do is, see, my intention is, see, I would like to show you a website here in Google Google Maps. Can you see Google Maps, which I have opened?
No, sir. No.
And now, okay, fine, that's good. So you can see this URL here. So I would like to just specify it as BMSIT. So and just press enter key. Okay. So don't look into the location as of now. What my intention is, just look at this URL here. This is a common factor that whichever the place that you specify here, Google Maps place, and this part is common factor here. And rest of the thing is completely a string, which has your name of the college, which has the latitude of your college, and some blah, 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 blah informations which is available. But I don't need all these informations to search your college address and make it automated in my Python. That's not required for me. So what I do is I would like to give a particular string, say BMS ID, and that particular website has to be, my program has to directly open your Google Maps and then get that text, whatever that the text that I have given, and it has to be placed it automatically. So that's my intention here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do it. So this is the address, what I have to specify. When I specify the address here, whichever the college it might be, whichever the place it might be, so it has to open the Google map, and this string has to be appended. Whatever the space that, whatever the location that I'll be giving, that has to be appended along with this particular location. That's your google.com maps place. So this has to be appended. Your string has to be appended with your google.com maps place. So this is a common factor. Okay. So keeping this as a reference, so I'll be switching over to my program here. Okay. So if there is more number of arguments, that means if you have given, BMSIT, Avalahalli, Yelahanka, Dodballapura Road. So you have a lot of strings available here. So if I consider BMSIT is one particular argument, then you can consider the next argument as Avalahalli and the next argument as Dodballapura main road. So make sure that you have at least one argument before you perform. So what is the address that you want to specify? I'm going to take a variable here called as address. Address is equals to, and append that. If you have more than, if you are providing a more than one argument, what are we trying to do is we will combine the different strings here. As I told you, BMSIT is one string, Avalahalli is another string, and Dodballapura is another string. So we have to combine this. We have to integrate this. We have to concatenate this. The more appropriate word is to concatenate this. So we have an option for this called as join. Okay, so this is going to join all the arguments that what you have specified in arguments, ARGV. Okay, and we will concatenate from the first index to the end of the index. So this is a slicing operation which we perform. I hope you are familiar with the slicing operation, and I'll close this. Okay, so this is what I have done. What I have done is I will, along with my command, I'm going to give you the address. I'm going to type the address, BMSIT, my command, followed by BMSIT, followed by Avalahalli, and followed by the Dodballapura. So this is my string, and the first part will be my command. Okay. So now that all together has to be concatenated together to identify my location. So if there is greater than one argument with me, so what I try to do is I try to concatenate all those commands and read that command from the first index to end of the index. So this is the slice. When I don't specify it, it indicates that till the end, you can just concatenate it. Then press enter key, If not, what I do is, say as I have given you an example that I have performed a copy operation from make my trip. So once I just press a Control C, it will be by default, it will be stored in the clipboard, right? I will not paste it here, but I have to extract the information that is present in the clipboard. What is a clipboard? Clipboard is a very simple thing. When you just perform Control plus C, It's just a temporary storage place where your copied information will be stored and what we call it as a clipboard. So I have to get the copied information which is present in the clipboard and be a part of my command so that the location will be identified automatically. Okay, so for that purpose, I have something called as a Piper clip here. This is an to import the copied content from my clipboard. I have imported a module called as a Piper clip here. Okay, so if not, I will get the address from the clipboard where I have Piper clip dot paste. I would like to just paste the content from my clipboard. So this is the command that what I use. I have something called as a Piper clip module. So I will be extracting it and I will be pasting it, and that will be stored in a variable called as a address. Okay. So the first stage is done here. What I am trying to do, I am trying to get the data from my command here. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to check whether the arguments are greater than 1. If so, if it is true, then see my arguments are BMSID, Avalalli, and Dodbadapura. If that is the scenario, then it concatenates the information and stores the address. Or else, whatever, if you are just looking into some other websites like Make My Trip, you have copied the contents. The contents will be it will be stored in the clipboards. So you are going to extract the information from the clipboard and you have to open it. So how do you open it? So we have web browser dot open is what the function which we had discussed. Okay, so we'll just put it in the next line so that it will be easier for you to read it. Then I'll be using your http colon. So rather than that, anyhow, I have this place, right? So this is what I have to, along with this has to be appended, right? I will just copy this and I'll be pasting it here. Okay, and close it. Along with this, I have to concatenate your address. I have to concatenate your specified address. Okay, so I'll be using plus operator. Plus operator is used to concatenate your contents in your Python. So address, store it. Okay, so this is done. So let me save this file. I'll be saving this file here. Let me save somewhere in the admin. Okay, I have. Right. So I'll just put it in the desktop. No matter, you will be able to get it here. I'll create a folder. Just a minute. Okay. So I'll call it as map, MAP map. Okay, because I have to open a Google map here and then I'm going to save it. Simply save this file. Okay. Now, once I have completed with this, I'm just going to use my command prompt. I'll be using my command prompt. Can you I don't think so. Stop and share. Can you see the command prompt? Is command prompt visible? Not visible. Right. Now, I don't think so. Command prompt is not visible. Yeah, okay, fine. So if the command prompt is visible, fine. At one time, only 2 applications I'll be able to share it. Sorry for that. What I do is I have already created this document here, and my intention is to just run this. What is my program that I had? My program was map.py and pass something called as BMSIT and press enter key. Once I press enter key, now it automatically leads to the website here. I mean, you can see the Google page, a Google map has been opened here. And you can see that the content, that whatever the command that I have given here as BMSIT, now you can see that particular content. And you can also see that the BMSIT, which is given as a command here, is being appended. You can simply press. So that's how you can make it more automated. Okay, so I'll just repeat this step here. So I think you can see the command prompt. You can, yes. So what I do is map.py and BMSIT, and I'll be giving this as Avalahalli, and then press enter key. So map.py, BMSIT, and Avalahalli is given as the command here. See, it automatically brings my page here and puts that as a string here, BMSIT and Avalahalli. Okay. So this is how simple you can make your programming automated. I mean, if you make use of your Python programming efficient, it has a lot of features where you can make it things automated. But actually, I wanted to show you a few things where you can use your run command here. I mean, if you can see Control R, and if you just press, the run will open. I mean, the command R, if you have a command button in your keyboard, your Windows button, press R, then this run will be opened here. I mean, you can see this run. If I just type it as, see, I'll show you that thing. I mean, how you perform a clipboard operation. Say, I will take a location here. I'm just going to copy this. I'm simply going to copy this. Okay. And I do already have created a map it, and then I'm going to type it as, that's all. I'm just going to press it OK here. Once I press OK, now it's going to open. It's going to open here. See here, you can see that I had just copied. I did not paste it. I just made it as a map it here. Whatever the contents that I had copied was placed in the clipboard, and that contents are directly placed here. So if you just look at this code, if you simply look at this code, that's what I did. If you have not passed any arguments in the command, so you can extract the content from the clipboard. Okay, so what I did, I went to this particular website called as an Impavit Technologies. I just copied it here, and then what I did, I went to this command R, sorry, your Windows R button, and I had created a batch file already, right? And I just clicked OK here. So once I click this OK, it automatically brings the page. See, what is my instruction that I had given? I had just given an instruction as map it. That's all. That was my instruction. By default, whatever the contents that was stored in the clipboard has completely brought my content onto your Google search. I mean, your Google map here, and you can perform the search operation automatically. Right? As simple as that. But the thing is, you have to make it a batch. I will show you how you can create a batch of this. So you can create a new line, I mean new file, and then at the rate of py.exe, what you can do is to just, I'm trying to make it as a batch file here. I'm trying to make it as a batch file here. And what you can do is, you should know where you have saved this location. I mean, you know, you have the location here. So this is your location. This is the location of your file where that you have saved. So you simply type that location, that is sufficient. So what's that location? C users admin MyScript. MyScript is the folder where I have stored it. And what is the file name? It is map.py. Okay. And you save your file. You save your file. Make sure that map, and don't save this as .py because I don't want to save this as a py. Select these all files and then click it on py. I mean BAT, that will create a batch file. So once you create a batch file, you have to go to your environment variables and set this particular path where your batch file exists so that you will be able to directly run your program from this instruction. I mean, I have opened a run here. Okay. And if I just type it as map, map, and just click OK. If your program is working perfectly fine, then it opens a web page. So this was the text which I had copied from the Impavit Technologies. So that has been automatically appended here. Okay, then you can perform. See, very simple. Usually what we do, we have to go to Google Maps, type the instructions, and then we have to do it. Or you have to copy the address from some other website and do it. But what are we doing here? You're simply copying a location from one of the website, and I'm going to make it as an automat here. Okay, so even if you take your college website, BMSIT, sorry. So what I do is I will be copying this location. See, I'm just trying to copy this location, Avalahalli. I have just copied it. So now what I'll do is I will go to my run and click OK. That's all. Click OK. That will open a Google map concatenating with the Dodbalapur main road and the Avalahalli. So you can just click search button here, automatically a page will be open. I mean, a location will be open. Very simple. Okay. So why I had shown you this activity is because web browser, opening a web browser is a very, very important part of your, you have to link your website to your program to perform or to extract the data. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm trying to extract, what did I extract here? I just extracted the address here and made automated so that the copied information was directly able to store it in your Google Maps, and it just gave me the location of the required location. Okay. So this is one of the program which I would like to show you, but I have not yet started with your beautiful soup or the request here. So the next interesting thing that which I would like to show you is, so let me close all these. Just close this. Fine. Now, the very, very important part of web scraping, we have one module called as a requests. Okay. A very, very important module that what we have is a request. If you do not have a request module in it, so you have to make use of your command prompt. Use your command prompt. Right. So can you see the command prompt? Then you can go with pip and install requests. So this is how you can include your packages into your Python. Then simply press enter key. As I was discussing, for the web scraping activity, we need two different packages. I'll be using the requests as one of the package and Beautiful Soup as another package to perform web scraping activity. See here, already my request has been installed. The package called as a request has been installed in my system. So it just shows that your requirement already satisfied here. Okay, so I don't want to do it again. So make sure that you install this request, and you also have to install your Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup 4 is the updated version that what we have. So you can install Beautiful Soup 4. That's very, very important to perform a web scraping activity. So again, you can use pip install Beautiful Soup 4. I have already installed that in my system. But before I move on to the Beautiful Soup to perform an extraction operation, so what I'll be doing is I'll be using my request. So what is the function of this request module? So the request module will establish a link between the hypertext markup language of a particular website and converts that particular HTML into a string format. So if you just look at this website, so this website has been created with the help of, I'll just see this inspect. You can see that the code will be available here. Okay, I would like to extract this code. So this is an HTML document, right? I would like to extract this HTML document and put it in a string format, so that will help me to extract the information. See, I don't want all these tags. These tags are used to represent your information in the website. So that is the common thing that what we know, everybody knows that. But the scenario is the information that whatever that we have in the hypertext markup language, that has to be extracted. So that is all about your web scraping. That's what your web scraping actually does. Okay. So how do we do that? So let us look into that. So I'm going to make use of your import requests is the module that what I'm going to use. Requests, it's not request, it is request. Then I'll be, say if your module is successfully installed, so you will directly get into the next command. So now what I do is I'm going to take a variable called as a page here, and page is equals to, I'm going to establish a connectivity between my web page and the Python and store your HTML document in terms of a string in a variable called as a page. So what I try to do is I'm going to make use of a request dot, we have a function called as a get. Okay, get your HTML contents of a particular website. So what I do is I'm going to use HTTP. Then I'll be using www. I'm trying to perform a web scraping operation on my website, on my WinPavit company's website .in, and I'll be using a course.html. I'll close it. So now this will extract the content, HTML contents that is present in the file called as a course.html, which is available in the internet. I mean your server extracts the HTML content and then place it in terms of a string in the page. Okay. And press enter key. So if this particular URL is available, then it will give you, I mean, it straight away gives, you can check, you have a provision where you can check if there exists an error or not. I'll be coming to that later. Then how do I display that the contents? How am I going to display that content? So what I do, I'm going to make use of a print, and then I have something called as res dot text. Sorry, not it's res, it is a page, because I have stored in the a variable called as a page here dot text. Okay, and close it. Now the thing that what we are going to look is all the HTML document which is created for course.html, you'll be able to see this. So you can see that squeeze the text 235 lines. If I just double click, see here, you can see the complete contents of your HTML document. So now you can just look into this content here. Impavit Technologies is a text. Then what is the other text that I can notice? So here I can notice web and mobile applications. Then I can notice the text here. So whatever the contents that is there in this HTML document, this text, only the text part has to be scraped out. That is what we have to do it. Now, before we scrape it, very important thing is you have to link your particular HTML content. So that we are going to do with your requests. Okay. So your HTML, whatever that we had linked course.html, it has been linked completely and you'll be able to see the complete HTML code of that particular page. See, everything is available here. Okay. Very, very important is for performing a web scraping, you should at least have a basic knowledge of HTML. You should have a basic knowledge of CSS and you should have a basic knowledge of JavaScript. If you know this, especially the elements, especially the attribute, you have the tags that what you are being used, what is its attributes. You should know the differentiation about the attributes, the tags, the elements that we have. You should know that. If you know that, the web scraping becomes very, very easier. So now we have scraped the complete course.html code here. From this particular code, we have to extract our data. That's the basic idea. Now here, what I did, I displayed the complete contents here. If I would like to display only the few contents, definitely you have a provision where you can make use of, what is that? Your slicing operations are available in Python. I think you know about the slicing operation. We'll just press this. And I would like to, from the first line, I would just like to display 150 characters. Right, from the first line. If I don't specify any index value here, from the first line, I would like to display 150 characters. So that is what I did here. Okay, so only the 150 characters are being displayed, and you can perform operation only on only 150 characters. Even that provision is also available. But the thing is, you should know the basics of your string operations. As I told you, Python makes a string manipulations very easier. So that also plays a major role to perform a web scraping activity. So what I did, I just linked my web page using request.get and try to extract the HTML content, and I had just displayed here. Now the second task that what I'm going to do is, I cannot look into this particular part and then keep doing all the time. What I do is, I would like to save this. Whatever the content that I have did here, I would like to save this. So to save that, what am I going to do is, I'm going to create a variable here and I will call it as my web. It's my website, so I'll be just giving it as my web. And I'm going to try use of open function to open a file. And I'm going to call this as course.txt. This is the file that whatever that you have seen here, I'm going to save that in a file called as a course.txt. Okay, so what operation I'm going to perform? I'm going to perform a write operation. That means you have to open a file called as course.txt and perform a write operation in a binary mode. Why it's a binary mode is because we are trying to store it in terms of a Unicode format. To store your information in a Unicode format, it is always preferred to store, perform a write operation in a binary mode. Perform a write operation with a binary. Okay, open your file and store the complete contents onto your file called as a course.txt. So that's my intention. Okay, so to do that, the next step, I'll be making use of a for loop for this, because I have to read each and every content and put it there. For I'll be using I, and in where is the contents I have to store? I have to store it in a particular file. I'll be creating that. A file called as a course.txt. This complete information is stored in my _web, right? So what I do is, I'll be using your page. See here, this is where your HTML document actually contains. So you can see that I have completely linked to a page. I have a variable where this complete information is stored in the page, right? It has been stored in the page. So what I do is, I will extract the complete content from the page, and I'm going to make use of a function called as iteration content. Iterate the content, iterate all the contents, of some specified bytes. As of now, I'll be specifying somewhere around 10,000, 1 lakh bytes. Okay, somewhere around 1 lakh bytes. This is the size, an approximation size. So at least you specify 1 lakh here. Okay, then the next thing, sorry, I just forgot to put a colon. Put a colon. Now the actual operation starts now. So what I do is I try to write the content. Where am I going to write the content? The content will be written on my_web. My_web, which has the file information called as course.txt. What operation you have to perform? You have to perform a write operation, and you have a variable called as an I here. So just press I, my web.write. So that will be written, all the contents, all this HTML document will be stored in a file called as a course.txt. See, this is the number of characters that is being stored. Now, before you open this document called as a course.txt, what I try to do is I will close the file. To close the file, my_web dot close is the function that what we have. Press enter key. Yeah, it will be closed. Now I'll open the file. What is my file? My file is course.txt. So now you can see that, right? Complete file. All this content I have been stored it. I have completely downloaded your HTML file and saved that file into your hard disk. Right? I have scraped the information of your website and I have stored it in a notepad. I have saved it in your file. It's as simple as. You have only few instructions. Why we prefer Python is because with the less number of instructions, you will be able to scrape. You will be able to give the instructions in fewer lines and perform a scraping operation. See here, we had just displayed here the entire contents. Now we are able to store it in the file. Okay, so I'm going to make use of an iter.content. So it's a function which will help you to read the contents from your page. Whatever the contents that we have in the page, it iterates each and every character and writes the content back into your file called as course.txt with an object my_web. So this will act as an object which completely points towards a file called as course.txt. We will have the complete information about the course.txt. So we not directly perform the operation on the file name, rather we perform the operation on the object called as my_web. So if I would like to open this, you have to first close this. Until unless you do not close this, this will not be saved into your document. So what I did, I scraped the information from impavit.in course.html and I just downloaded the file and saved it in the hard. So you can create a program like this and you can scrape it. Now the second task, a very, very important task that what we have to do is, now you have all these HTML document. But the thing is, I need only the information part of this HTML document, leaving all these tags. I don't need all these tags. I need only this web mobile application, ERP solution, software courses. I would like to just know what are the courses which is being given. What are the activities or what are the services which has been given by the Impavit Technologies. See, these are all the services which are being given by the Impavit Technologies. So I want to extract only that part. So that can be done with the help of a Beautiful Soup. So without the help of the request, Beautiful Soup cannot perform its activity alone. Okay, but before that, so whenever you perform any operation, I just wanted to show you, in case if the website is not present, if you are trying to send a request to open a website, and if the website does not exist, say here, already I have the information about the impavit.technologies here, impavit.in, and that is being stored in the page, right? Since it exists, so I would like to just perform an operation. I would just check what is the status of that particular website, if whether it exists or not. So what I can do, I'll be using page dot status underscore code and press enter key. Page dot, okay, fine, whatever it is, we have some other function for it. The alternate function for this is page dot rise for the status. We have something called as the rise for status. Okay, so if it is available, then you can simply just check rise for the status. So it will not give you any error message if the website exists. So now what I do is I am going to make use of your page is equals to, then I'll send a request dot get and perform HTTP, I mean store your URL here, www.impavid.in, and I specify some the page which does not exist. I'll specify it as does not exist. I do not have a file called as a does not. I'll make it as just .html and press enter key. So it just reads it, but I would like to know what is the status, if it is available or not. See, it just straight away shows that particular URL that what we have provided does not .html is not found. It is not at all found. If it is found, it will not give you any error message. It just moves on to the next command. Okay, so that's how you can just try to find out, raise a request to check whether that particular URL exists or not before you perform any activity, before you perform the web scraping activity. Okay, so now let us move on to the next one. I mean, we had completed with the request, then we will move on to the next module, that is your beautiful soap. That is the beautiful, actually it is a very beautiful package which is available in the Python, especially to perform a web scraping activity. So I'll just show you a few of the operations which we can do it. Okay. Now, here I would be, see, without request, your beautiful soup could not be completed. Make sure that you use your request as well along with the beautiful soup. It is a supporting package for beautiful soup as well. So what I do is import request. I'll try to do it again. Import request. Then I will import beautiful soup from BS4, that's the folder where it exists, and import, make sure about the case sensitivity. It's very, very important. Beautiful soup, that's the module that what we have. Okay. So if the module exists, if it is not, see, beautiful soup is not an inbuilt package. As I told you earlier, it has to be installed. Okay, so you can make use of pip install and you just give it as beautiful soup 4. So that is the latest version that what we have with respect to beautiful soup, and then you can import beautiful soup to perform web scraping. So I'll take a web page. As I told you, I'll be taking this particular web page, I mean the course.html, and extract few of the content from it. So I'll be using page equals to, again the same activity, requests.get HTTP. Then you can use www.impavid.in. We'll be using course.html. Okay, so this part is done. I mean, that means we have linked and the HTML content is being passed and it's been stored in page. Okay, now I have to identify, it's very, very important. Now the beautiful soup comes into the picture. Now your parser comes into the picture for interpreting. See, we have loaded the document. So this is the first stage. What is that? Document loading. So the first stage has been completed here. We have loaded the document. The second stage is to identify the elements. That's what we call it as interpretation of your document. Especially, we have to parse it. How do we parse it? I'm going to take a variable called as a soup and store that. I mean, everything will be stored in terms of a string here, and use beautiful soup. So you can also make use of an alias name. So each time you make it as request.get, you can just make it as import request as R, and you can perform the activity rather than each time you type the package name. Beautiful soup. And then you have to parse it. So how do you parse it? We have to parse it in terms of a text information. And that, I mean, your document is completely stored in page. So let me specify that parse in terms of a text document. And I will be using, see, I have a couple of parsers. One is LXML parser. I can use LXML parser, and I can also use HTML.parser. So you, depending upon your requirement, depending upon the type of document at which you are trying to perform a web scraping. So since my course.html belongs to an HTML, so I'll be using a HTML parser. So I will just make use of HTML.parser. Okay, so even HTML.parser will be available as a part of your Python package. LXML will not be there, but you have to install it if you are performing a web scraping activity on XML. Okay. Now what we are trying to do is we are parsing it. The second activity is to identify the elements here. Okay, so let us do that. Just press enter key. So it's been done. Now it's time to display the contents. I would like to display the complete contents here. Okay, only the text part will be displayed here. So there are two different things where I can do with the beautiful soup. I can display the complete website along with its elements. That's the first thing. So let me do that first. I'll be using a print followed by SOUP dot. Prettify is a function that what we have. And close it. Now this is going to give you the HTML file. I mean, if you would like to display the HTML content, so this is what we are going to use it. Just to make a differentiation between the request and the beautiful soup here, I'll be showing that. See, now you can see that. See, using soup.file, so the squeezed text will have complete HTML file, whatever the HTML file that we have seen here. So this file will be displayed. Okay. So I don't want to just squeeze it so that it just goes down. The thing is, I would like to display only the information part. So what is my information? Only the text part, leaving all the HTML tags. I don't want to display the HTML tags, but I would like to only display the information. So for that, print soup.text. So this is the function. Dot text is what we use, which can only print the text of a website, not the complete HTML document. So I'll just double click on this. See, you can see it just has left. If you just double click on this, you will be able to see the complete HTML code. But when I make use of soup.txt, only the text part, I mean, the elements are being removed, segregated. You have extracted only the text part. So this is what actually a parser does. See, only the text part. Empavit Technologies, toggle navigation, only the information part is being displayed, but you have these blank spaces. Even that blank spaces can be removed. Okay, you know, the string operations will help you for this. See, now you can see nowhere you have your HTML elements. You only have your information. All the information is being extracted from the website. See, this is what we actually had. So this is what we had, only the information that what we had here. See, along with some header, along with some footer elements, along with some images. leaving everything. It has not taken even, see, if I just click, this is your anchor part. I mean, it is just linking back to your index page, home page. If I click this, it will link back to your about page. So your HTML will have all these elements. It will have an anchor tag. It will have a division of a header. It will have a division of a footer. Everything will be differentiated with the help of the HTML. But what I did, I just removed all this part and extracted only the information part which is available in the website. So that's what I did here. So you can see this. So such a beautiful package where your beautiful soup will provide you to perform a web scraping activity. Okay, one more request is don't frequently do the scrapping activity, because for some extent the caching part might be a problem for the web servers. So when you keep frequently doing it, don't when you are performing a web scraping, do not do it frequently. One is the caching problem, and as I told you, they might change their terms and conditions. So before you perform it, you just read the terms and conditions and always keep track of the caching activity. So that will be a problem for the person who is running a website. So that will create mess up with the storage whenever you perform a scraping activity. Okay. So the next thing is what we do is, let us only try to extract the title. Okay, only the title. See, you have this, right? So you have your head, the head part is available, and the title is Impact Technologies. So let me just extract that. Okay, I'll just only extract that. So to extract that, see, everything is being stored in soup. Every parsing details is being stored in the soup. So what I do is, I'll simply use soup dot. What you need the title, only the title part, and just display its text. Just display its text. See, now you can notice that Impact Technologies is being displayed. See, this is a scrapping. What we did, we just extracted the data which is available in the website and we displayed it. Okay, I would like to display the body part of your HTML document. So soup dot body. So if I just double click on this, the contents of the body, where it has been started and where it has been ended, everything will be displayed here. So you can specify from where do you want to extract it, from which tag you have to extract it, from this particular tag. So where it has been opened until it has been closed, each and every information will be displayed here. Okay, now coming back, one activity which I would like to show you is, if you just look at this, you have a header tags. You have a lot of header tags here, especially we have H4. H4 is a header tag that what we have. I would like to extract one of the content which is available in the header tag. Okay, so you have a couple of headers here, right? So how do we perform that? How do we extract it? How do we scrape it? So we have soup and we have a module called as a select. What are you going to select? You are going to select a tag called as H4. Okay, and I would like to display the information that is available with respect to the first header. I mean, if you just see here, wherever I see H4, that this is the first H4 where I can see, I would like to display. So this is the second H4. This is the third H4 that what I have. If you start from the first, from doctype.html, this is for the first time where you can notice H4. So this will be recognized as an index number 0, and this will be recognized as index number 1. I have to specify the index. Okay, so to specify the index, I'll be using your 0.text. Okay, so I would like to extract the header content at the index number 0. That's what I have to do it. See, now you can see that first one, what was that first information that which we had? One.web designing. So that's what we extracted here. Right? Very important is, I would like to get the complete information. I mean, all the informations that are part of your header tag h4. Okay, I'm going to write a program to extract the content of your header tag with respect to your h4. So I'll be creating a new file for this, right? So we know that we have to include import request. So I'll be making it as R because each time I have to use it as request here. Then I'll be importing from BS4 what you have to import. Even you can also make use of this as and make beautiful soup or something else. But let us have the terminology in our brain so that beautiful soup is used only for, is used for web scraping. Beautiful soup. I'll not give an alias name for this. Let it be like that. Okay. Then the next part that what we have to do. So I'm giving again, I'm telling you again, I'm going to extract the contents of your header tag h4. Okay. So I'll create a page. The first one is to document loading. So I'll be using R dot. Because why I have not used request is because I have created R here as an alias name. R dot get. And where should I get it from? I should get it from private.in post.html. That's the particular file document which I need. Okay. Then, the document has been loaded and the instruction is given for document loading. The next thing that what I do is I have to parse it. Use soup equals to. So use your beautiful soup. I'll just copy this, paste it, and use page dot. Now it's not one particular text which you are going to extract. It is a complete content. You are just reading a complete content of your HTML. So now I'm not going to make use of dot text here. I'll be using the content. I'm looking into the complete content of your HTML to extract it, right? And then use your HTML dot parser. Close it. Okay, so parsing activity is done. The next stage that what I have to do, I have to list all the tags. I'm going to create a variable called as all underscore h4. Okay, all the information with respect to a tag called as, and a list, an empty list. I'll be creating an empty list. I hope you know the list in Python. Empty list is created. So I'll be using a for loop. We'll be looking into the elements. I'll take it as, you can take whatever the variable name that you want. I'm just taking ELE in. So you have soup.select, which we did it. So, if you want to do it for only one particular tag, then you don't need for loop, but it has to be iterated to find wherever you have the tag called as h4. So I'll be using a for loop for that. So select. What are you going to select? I'll be selecting the tags which are associated with your h4. Put a colon and then append all the h4 information. Whatever the information which you have with respect to your h4, append that to your empty list. Okay, so all underscore h4, you have append inbuilt function, right? So what you are going to append, the element that's your text, whatever that you are going to do it, that will be appended. Okay, then once you have done with that, print it. Print your list all underscore h4. Okay, so let me save this file. So I'll be just saving this file as h tag and save your file. Okay, so let us run this. You can use F5 or you can also use this. So now what it's going to do, extract all the information with respect to your header tag called as H4. See, now you can see, if you just look at this information, so you have 11 informations with respect to your H4. So everything is displayed here. You can see all this is displayed, but we have displayed in terms of a list. Okay, so we have extracted the contents of your HTML document with respect to your header tag called as H4. So web scraping is done, right? So this is one activity. So the next activity that what we can look into is certainly our web pages will have the images, and I want to display the sources of your images, where it is being, what is its file name and what is its extension. So I would just like to display the complete information. So if you just look at this, we have 3 images here in the website. One is the Impavid Technologies. The other one is this portion is the second image that what we have. And the third image is this logo again. So we have 2 logos and 1 image. And I would like to just get an information about these logos. I mean the images. Okay, so that's what I'm going to scrap it. I'm going to scrape the information which is related to your image. So I'll be using the same thing and make some modifications in the existing program itself so that the time will be saved. Okay. So up to here, there is no changes. First 4 active, the instructions, the code, that whatever that I have written, there is no change in it. So here I'll be making use of, I'll be just changing it because I would like to extract an image here, all images. I'm going to create an empty list. And this time, what is the tag that I need? I need a tag called as img. Okay. I need a tag which is, if you want to display any image in the HTML, you have a tag called as img. So you have to look into your HTML document in the course.html, identify the tag called as img. Right. So before that, I will just make few changes here for the existing one. So what I do is I'm going to make use of I'm going to take a variable here. What am I looking into? I'm just going to look into, so even this can be done here. Even this part can also be done here, but this is another way that how I will be able to do it. So I is equals to soup dot select. What am I going to select? I'm going to select img. So this is another method that what I'm going to do it itself. So there is no much changes here. And rather than using this, what I'll be using, because the complete information is being stored in I, I'll be storing that in as an I. So this is another way that how you can store it. Rather than specifying the entire thing here, you specify here and give this variable name. Okay. Then img. But here, how do you want to, you have to get the resources as well. What is its location? If possible, even its location. That's what I'm going to add it here along with that. Okay, so I have a variable. I'm going to take the variable called as src, and what are you going to get? I'm trying to get ele dot get the resource as well. src, the source where it is being, the location, the source, get the source as well. And finally, you append the contents. How you have to display it? How you're supposed to display it? I'll be using this. Display within information called as source, where it is being. And that information is stored in src. I want to find out the location of your image. Okay, I mean, it will have an absolute path or a relative path. Every image will have an absolute path or a relative path. So that path I have to display it here. So that's been stored in SRC, and I'll just close. SRC represents the source of your image. I would like to extract the source of your image. So that's what I'm trying to do with. Okay. So I have created an empty list. The first part is your empty list. See, there is no change in all these things. I have retained all these things, but I have created an empty list. Then I have created a variable called as an I. I would like to extract the sources of the tag called as an image. And whenever you display any image, you will be using a tag called as image along with the source. I would like to display the source. Okay. So here, this will be made as img. Okay, so I'll save it. I'm just going to save it, and then let us run the program. Now you can see, as I told you, our website had only 3 images. One is logo.png, and this is images. I mean, this is the location. It's a location in the server it's been stored. It's a source where it is being stored in the server. So images /logo.png. So this is the logo which we had in this is the location. This image location is that. And the second one is the software.png. So these are the list of the softwares, the software course which was, this is the image. So that has been displayed here. Next part is the logo which is present in the footer. So you can just see that a logo is available in the footer. So that has been displayed here. So what we did, we extracted.
We can't see that
Yes.
website. We can't see that website where.
1 minute. One. Yes. Now you can see the website probably, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now you can see there are 3 different images. One is logo. This is the second image, and this is the third image that what we had. Okay. So we had extracted the sources of these images in the server. So this is the first part. This is the second one, and this is the third one. And that's what we have extracted here, right? The logo in the header, then the image of a software, and the logo in the footer part. So we had extracted the sources of that particular images. So this is the second example. See, previously I had done with the header tag. Now I had done with the image. So finally, I would show you how can you extract. See, when I show you a website, when you just look at the website, when I click this, it will lead to another page called as about.html. It will lead to another page called as services.html. If I click this will lead to another page called as career.html. So this is created by the hyperlinks. Now I would like to extract all these hyperlinks from my HTML document, and I have to display it. That's the first thing that what I'll be doing. The second thing is whatever the links, hyperlinks that I have been downloaded, the very, very important stage. Before I wind up, the very important thing, whatever the hyperlink I have extracted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract it and save that particular data in terms of .csv. So here I'm just showing you a few operations, how you can extract the data from your HTML. But once we did it, we will try to save our document in terms of .csv, because as we know that we have to save your file in terms of a .csv, or you have to save in terms of a MongoDB or any other database. Okay, I'm trying to save that in an Excel format, .csv, and see how we can do it. Before that, we will try to extract the hyperlinks. So there is no changes here. All these first 4 lines, we will not make any changes. And very similar to that, we will have the link. I'm going to make an empty called as a link here. And what am I trying to do? I'm trying to just get an anchor tag. Anchor tag is used to extract your hyperlinks. So that's what I'm going to do it here. And then I'll be using a for loop. Okay. For my reference, I'll make it as href. We know about this hypertext reference, which we'll use along with your, it's just a variable that what I have taken. Okay. I'll be using this I as usual, so there is no much change here. What I try to do is I would like to just remove this and make few changes. First thing is extract the text part of your link with respect to your hrefs.txt. Okay, because the first and the first thing that what you have to do is you have to extract the text which has been hyperlinked. So that's the code that what I have written here. Okay, I have extracted the text which has been hyperlinked. Okay, if I say course is a text which has been hyperlinked, right? And then what we do is, if it is not been hyperlinked, say for example, what happens is, for some reasons, if you just look at the website, if I click here, it will lead to services.html. There are few scenarios, though you click it again and again. See, if I'm at the home page here, if I just click it back, it might not lead to another page, right? And that will be something called as an hash. So if I just click it, it will not lead, it will lead to the same page. That means it's not going to link it to the different page. So let us consider that is a particular text which is not being linked. I mean, it's its own page. It is going to link it its own page, right? It is not been referred to any other page. So if I just click it here, it is not been referred to any other page. It is been referred to its own page. So sometimes what we get is we'll identify this as an hash, okay, which is referring to itself. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is, so I'll be using a text again. Text equals to identify, get the text dot strip, and use if statement. If the text is not none, that means if it is not been hyperlinked, else. Okay, just put a reference here. It's again a continuation. It's just a continuation that what I'm trying to do it here. Okay, now this is the first part that what I have done. I have just extracted in a anchor tag. I have extracted only the text which has been hyperlinked. The text only, I'm extracting the text part. I have not extracted the link part here. Course.html, that is the page which has been linked. That is the reference which has been linked. Now I'm going to take that. I'm going to make it as href. Href is equals to I mean, I'll just change this to anchor, so there will not be any much confusion. Okay, this is a variable. This is just a variable that what I have taken. Okay, now I'm going to extract, get the links, only the links. Okay, the hyperlinks which has been associated with this particular text. So that's equals to a href dot get. What are you going to get? You're going to get the reference. Usually the reference will be in anchor tag followed by the reference. I mean, the link of your page will be stored in href, so that I'll be storing it there, href. So I'm going to extract the information with respect to href. Then href is equals to, as I told you, there might be some scenarios which might not be linked. So this I'll make it as href and this as href if href is not being linked to another page. Okay, so append all the information in the list called as all underscore link dot append. How you want to display it? You first have to display the reference, the linked page, href. So you display your href. Then you have to display the text which is being hyperlinked. Display the text which is being hyperlinked. The first part is to display, append all the information in this format. One is to completely do it. Extract the complete information which has a hyperlink, and this is the text which is being hyperlinked. Close this, and finally we will display it. Okay. Right. So the first part here, what I have done is I have tried to extract the text which is being hyperlinked, and this is the second part. These are the hyperlinks, and if you can see this, if text is not none else, this is a statement. In case if that particular page is referring to itself, it will not lead to any other page. Right? If I click home, you are already in the home page, and if you try to click home, it will be in the same page. It will not be moved to any other page. So that will be referred as an hash. So I would like to display even that. Okay. So let me save this. All the information is being appended into a file, into a list called as all_list in this particular format. First, I would like to display your hyperlinks, and the second one is the text which is being hyperlinked. So let us run this. Sorry, there is, okay. So I'll just make a small change here, just a minute. So once we complete with that, once we try to display the content, so what we do is for an existing code, we'll just save the complete contents back into our the CSV file. That's what we'll be doing it. I have just copied and pasted rather than making some corrections here. Okay, so here I will send you all these codes and all these things so that you can just refer it. Now you can see this. See here, in the first page, in the home page, so no text is been linked. So you have only the hyperlink here. Only the index.html is available. So in the second page, if you go to the second page, if you just look at the other page, if you go to the about page here, it's been linked with the various references. So each of them, you have a hyperlinked page and its associated information. Say it is nothing but if I click on the text called as an ERP, it leads to a page called as erp.html. If you just click on the corporate training, it will just lead to a page called as corporate.html. So what we had done is we had completely extracted the information which is available in the website, which is being hyperlinked, the text which is being hyperlinked, and what is its address, where it is being linked to. Okay, so when I click on this, it will open to a corporate.html. When I just click on this placement assistant, then it will lead to a page called as placement.html. So this is the complete information about your anchor tag. The links that is available in that particular page. The next task, and the very important task that what we are going to do is we are going to completely store this information in terms of a CSV file. We'll be storing this entire information in terms of CSV that we will see. For an existing code itself, I'm not going to print it anyway. I don't want to print all these things. Only the thing is I need to just store these contents back into my CSV file. Okay. So all these codes are same. I mean, there is no changes. I have extracted the information. All the extracted scraped information has to be stored in a file. So I'm going to create a dictionary here. I mean, a dictionary will be more helpful for me. So I'll use keys. I'm going to take a variable called as a key and completely store your links. The links starting from the first index dot keys. Okay. What I do is I'm going to open a file. I'm going to open a file, right? Open file. And I will call the file as link underscore one. That is the name of the file with respect to CSV format. I have to create a file called as CSV format. Okay. Then add a new line so that it will be displayed in a different, I mean, whatever the contents that you are going to append it will be appended in CSV in a different lines. So I'll be using it as a new line is equals to. Okay, so close this. And as output file, I would like to see this as a output file. So it's an inbuilt function. I mean, I would like to, I'm just giving another name for this. I would like to see this link underscore one dot CSV as a output file. Put a colon. And then I'll be taking a variable called as writer. So dictionary, I would like to use a dict. A writer is a function which I do have because in a Excel sheet or in a .csv, so it is the data has been organized in terms of rows and columns. The information is stored in terms of rows and columns. So I have to map the row with the column. So to map with the row and column, the best option that what we have in the Python is the dictionary. Okay. So put that content in, I mean, you are going to start performing an operation on CSV file. And we have dict writer. And you perform the operation on your output file. Output file. So I had just given a name link underscore one dot CSV as output underscore file. And this is used for mapping. Keys are used for mapping. Again, dict underscore writer. So when you look into your CSV file, we know that your information will have a header part, right? I mean, one is the href is the header part and the txt is the header part. So I have to create this href and txt as a header part. So I'll be using write header. And then we will use dict underscore writer dot write the contents, write complete information. See, first we have created the header part here. One is href, the other one is your text. The next thing is all the information has to be written in terms of rows. Okay, so we will have write rows. We will be using write rows. All entire information is stored in all underscore links. Okay, we will see this. We will. I'll save this file. Yes. Okay, so what are we trying to do? I mean, I just left out, I have opened the file. I have to open a file called as link_1.csv and print all your information in different lines, but you have to specify what is the mode of opening. So I will be specifying this W, which is a write mode. You open the file called as link1.csv. You can take whatever the file you want. As of now, I'll take it as BMSIT itself, bmsit.csv itself. So this will do the job. It's going to write the content in terms of rows. First, we will create the header and all the extracted links, the text as well as href will be saved in the empty list called as all_links. And the same thing will be printed or will be written on your CSV file. So let me write that. So just left with the comma operator. Okay. We have an error, so let me look into that. Yes, so we don't have any errors, so it's just leaded to the next one. So the file which we had created was link underscore. So let me check that if it is available. Link underscore 1. It's available here. Just open this and I'll just share it. So now you can see this file has been opened here automatically. And now you can see the text part and its hyperlinked part. Okay, so you can see all the information. I mean, you have extracted the link part as well as the text which is being linked here. We have created two different headers here. One is the H reference, the other one is the text part here. And you can notice all the text which is associated with your linked part. Okay, so now with this particular content, that whatever that, see, we know that how you can scrape it. We have extracted the data and we have learned how you can store that particular content back into your CSV file or any other database. So once it is been available or once you have been scraped it, we will see how Python can be used to perform an operation on your Excel, how your Python can be used to perform the operation on the PDF. So that this is the first stage, is how you perform a basic scraping operation. So we just looked into the various aspects of the beautiful soup and we try to extract the information of a particular element. So if you know the elements of your HTML, it becomes very easy for you to identify the element and give the element and extract the information which is associated with that particular element. So once that is been done, you extract the information and you save it wherever that you want. So now I extracted the complete information from the web page. And now I have stored that in .csv format. Now, once it is been available in .csv format, or if it is available in PA, wherever it is, so Python can be made use again to perform the operation on your .csv or on PDF. So that we will see in the next session. So if anybody has any queries, I'm done with today's class. So if you have any queries or anything, please let me know.